All right, everyone. Welcome to our very first podcast. This is Woo and Cody.
Hi, everyone.
And I actually approached Cody first to see if he wanted to start a podcast with me, and he agreed. So here we are. And I'll let Cody say any piece he wants to.
Welcome. Thanks for listening, everyone. We've known each other a long time. Essentially, every little bit of this millennia. 2001 we met, back in high school. First day. Excited to grow with you, to share with you, to have a couple of laughs with you, and talk about our beloved Toronto Raptors.
Cool. So, Cody actually had an idea for our first podcast to kind of break the ice and get things going a little bit, and that was to ask each other 5 questions that we wanted to know about each other.
Yeah.
So I've got my 5 questions ready. Cody?
Are we going to go, like, you ask me all 5? And then I ask you all 5? Do you want to go
Maybe
back?
Just
back
go
and
back.
forth?
We'll just go back and forth. Maybe.
I like that.
That might work a little bit better.
Yeah. All right, lay it on me, Woo.
All right. First question is just a simple. When you go to a job interview, you always get that one question like, tell me about yourself. So I would like to give you 1 to 2 minutes to tell everyone that's listening who doesn't know who you are a little bit about yourself and what they can expect.
What they can expect. Well, I guess professionally, I'm a chef. I work in French fine dining food. Although that's a big switch. I used to work Italian a lot. But I'm more than just my career. Obviously an avid basketball fan. Been watching the Raptors since the Skydome days, back in the days when we didn't even have a home.
Yeah.
I believe, even though I've never successfully made a basketball team in my career as a basketball player, that I still love the game so much that I continued to pursue it outside of, I guess, a competitive atmosphere. 30 years old, good friends with my buddy here, Woo. What else do you need to know about me?
I would like to add, to love basketball, you don't have to make a team, because I've made a few. I've made a few teams myself, but I have not played a whole lot.
That's true.
But
and there was that one year where I didn't make the team, and I was the basketball team manager. I helped keep track of some stats and got to be a part of the team without actually playing. So
you have to know the game to even do something like that. So
yeah, there's definitely a passion there.
Cool.
Well, Will,
lay it on me.
So we decided to start a podcast, and we've talked briefly about the podcast, but at one point we had mentioned maybe a long-term goal would be to interview somebody on the podcast. And if you had the ability to interview literally anyone on our podcast, who would you want to interview?
The one person, I know we talked about this before. You mentioned like someone like Chuck Swirsky, like a legend in the Raptors basketball world, but
for some of the OGs.
Yeah, but for me, honestly, I don't have one person in mind, but I would like to get to the level where we can interview a player.
Yeah?
So
like a current player.
Like a current player that's playing. So I would like to get this podcast to a level where it's respectable enough to get a listen from people. So someone like a Fred VanVleet.
Yeah?
Or like some of the players that don't get a lot of media exposure already on the Raptors. So someone like, I would say someone like OG would be cool, because he was just coming up last year.
Yeah.
So he's probably going to be, getting a lot more media attention. But
absolutely.
Some of those younger Raptor players.
Yeah.
Younger Raptor players who don't get to talk to the media a whole lot, but have their own perspective on how the season's going, how the team is going to, progress throughout the year. So maybe one of the younger players on the Raptors would be an ultimate goal to interview a Raptors player.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be a star, just someone on the Raptors team. On the roster, and someone who'd be willing to talk to us.
I like that.
Yeah. All right. Question number 2. This is a little personal.
Ooh.
I'm actually married, so this question can't be asked to me, because I'm already with my ideal woman. But Cody is actually single. Well, he's
single.
He's single, and I don't know if you're seeing anyone. I don't know any of that yet. But my question to you, I guess, your ideal woman. I know you're single, so if you're looking for a girl What's
Yeah.
your ideal person that you'd want to end up with? You're 30 years old. You must be thinking about
Settling down.
Settling down, maybe. I mean, you don't have to, but
Yeah.
you seem like a person that I would say is
Suits the married life.
Yeah, someone would be lucky to have you. So,
Aw.
what's your ideal woman? And tell us
I
a
don't
little
know
bit.
if you would possibly say ideal woman. I think there's no such thing as an ideal person, but there's definitely some character traits that I've learned to value and appreciate. I like a sense of adventure. I'm very much a person who gets an idea and it excites me and I want to go and do it. So I would want somebody who shares that sense of adventure with me, whether that be a random day trip to Niagara Falls to check out the new feature, the go-karts. That's something I want to try.
Cool.
Or just a new restaurant. As a chef, I very much appreciate culinary experiences. So I would like to be able to share culinary adventures with my significant other. I think it would be fun to not be restricted. Not that there's anything wrong with vegetarianism or any of that, but like somebody who shares that sense of adventure in their food as well. And then last thing, support. I find in a relationship, and that's something that I've gleaned from you and your wife, is that she's very supportive of you in your future goals, and I think you cannot put a price on that. It's absolutely priceless, and that's something that I would very much look for.
That's hard to find in a person. I think that's one of the hardest things to find. Like, you have someone you want to be with, but do they support you with everything you do 100%?
Yeah.
And that's not always the case. I actually got lucky, and I got lucky because I got married first, and I completely did a 180 and just told her that I wanted to do something else, and she was okay with it. I mean, we did have a small talk at the beginning, but small talk. But I was pretty lucky.
All right, question number 2 for Wu. So growing up, you played basketball, and growing up, you've watched basketball. So it could be from either perspective. But do you have like a number one basketball memory that kind of sticks out in your mind?
I would say, okay, I should probably let you know. The first basketball memory I ever have is just hearing the name Vince Carter. I was in grade 6, and kids were just coming into school, just like going crazy. Like, did you see Vince Carter's dunk last night?
Yeah.
He did like a 360, and I'm like, who is Vince Carter? And from that day, I went home and I went on TV and I watched Raptors games. And
That's because we didn't have YouTube.
yeah,
back in
I
the
didn't
day.
have YouTube, so I had to wait until the games. I didn't even know when the games were playing. You had to just flip through their channels at like the evening time to see if a game was on. And that's my first memory of basketball or anything Toronto Raptors related. And since then, I was hooked with basketball.
Cool.
That's pretty much any playing wise. No, I have a bad memory playing wise. I have a terrible memory playing wise. The first playing time I ever got in grade 9, when I made the basketball team in high school, is, I think you remember
I
this.
know exactly what you're going to say.
I went the wrong way. They were inbounding me the ball. I was so excited to play. I got the ball, and I started running the other way. And I thought I had an open layup because no one.
On your own net?
Yeah, I thought I had an open layup because no one was guarding me. And the ref blows the whistle, and he's like, turnover. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I went the wrong way. So that's kind of a bad memory, but there's a little good and bad there. That's
All I see is a big smile on your face, Wu. I'm sure it's a positive one in the end.
yeah. So that's. I didn't stop playing after that, so I guess that's a positive from that story.
Yeah. Move on through adversity.
Yeah. So I noticed you're asking me pretty much all basketball questions. Mine are all like personal.
That's fine, man.
So my next question, this is actually one that I had a hard time finding questions. I remember I was telling you before we started this that I had a hard time finding actual 5 questions to ask you. So I Googled some.
Yep.
But I found some that I actually liked and I wanted to ask you. So my next one is, what celebrity actress would you rate as a perfect 10 in looks and acting? So it has to be in looks and acting.
Well, I'll just go with my gut instinct. The first face I pictured and first name that came to mind was Natalie Portman. I
like
think
her.
she's
Pretty.
extremely attractive. I think she's fantastic as an actress, and I also like the fun side of her. I have a very strong memory. She was on Saturday Night Live, and she did a rap that was very out of character for her, and it got a lot of laughs from me.
I think I watched that. Yeah, I think I watched that.
Yeah, I appreciate that she can do so much, such a wide range of acting abilities.
Yeah, and she's smart.
Is she?
Yeah, I think she went to like an Ivy League school. I think Harvard or something. We can ask her right now. Okay, Google. Where did Natalie Portman go to university?
Natalie Portman's education included Harvard University, Syosset High School, Hebrew
Harvard.
University of Jerusalem, and other places.
Oh, wow.
Well, there you have it.
Very cool.
Brains and the looks. And the skills.
Yeah. All right, so question number, I guess we're on 3.
Yes.
So, Wu, I know you've done a little bit of traveling domestically within Canada and also
Yes.
abroad within the world. Do you have a destination somewhere in the world that you are looking to get to, or like a dream destination? It can be either hyper-specific, like a city in a country, or it could just be a region.
I actually talked to Esther about this. It would be a dream for us, since actually we didn't think about this before we had kids. So we started thinking about specific places we would want to go for the benefit of our kids, like TJ and Ty. And one of the languages she really likes or loves is Spanish.
Yeah.
So she wants to learn Spanish so bad. She studies a little bit right now by herself.
Mm-hmm.
But Spanish is the language she thinks is like so beautiful, and she would just kill to just learn how to speak it so well. So she was thinking like of a country in like South America, or like a Spanish speaking country, just so we could live there for a few years, let the kids learn the language, learn culture, because like when they travel, they learn, like their brains are working. Like I read that somewhere, like traveling for kids is like one of the best things you can do for their development. And I didn't travel that much, so that's one of the things I wish I did when I grew up, is travel.
Are you saying you were developmentally challenged?
Yes, I think so. I haven't seen a lot of the world. The most I've seen is like gone to like, I haven't even really gone to like the West Coast. I've just gone to like PEI and Halifax a bunch of times.
Yeah.
And these vacations are not fun vacations. Like my dad, when he goes on a vacation, like when I was younger, we would spend 12 hours in a car driving, go to a hotel, sleep, wake up and be on the road again for like another 10, 12 hours, check in when it's dark, sleep, reach the destination, spend a few hours there, and start heading back home.
A few hours? You wouldn't even spend a few days?
No, well, maybe we'd spend like a night. Like we'd get there, but it'd be nighttime by the time we get there. So we get to like Nova Scotia, it's like evening, we eat dinner, we spend the night, and then we're on our way back home like the next day.
Oh, geez.
So those were like my holidays. So that's like what my travel was.
Yeah.
So I would like to have my kids experience more than that.
Yeah. You'd like to
and have
up
them,
the ante.
Yeah. So somewhere it's like a Spanish-speaking country would be great.
Yep.
It'd be a big leap, but you know, Esther's always saying YOLO.
Yeah.
This is even the reason she lets me do YouTube and she lets me do podcasting is YOLO. Like she thinks like you only live once, so if you're gonna do it, just do it.
Yep.
Put everything you have into it, and make sure. She wants me to have fun with everything I'm doing. So that would be a cool experience to give my kids.
Yeah.
Not permanent. Like I always want to live back here. Like I think Burlington's my home.
Yep.
By the way, we're in Burlington, Ontario, Canada. My parents are here. My family's close by, so I think Burlington will always be like my home.
Yep.
But for a few years, I'd like to move somewhere just to kind of give them an experience.
I think that'd be super cool.
Be scary, like
but it's scary.
But for me, like my family now is like my wife and my kids, right? So if I'm with them, then I've nothing really to worry about.
Yeah.
So before it used to be like my parents, they wouldn't let me go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know.
Tables have turned.
It's a little different now since you're older. You got kids, so Like
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
And I would 100% come visit.
Yeah. And we can continue the podcast over Skype.
Oh, yeah. It'll happen.
All right. My next question. Damn, now I wish I'd changed my questions. These are all good questions you're giving me.
Woo. All the questions have been good.
All right. So this one, this is actually funny. I was reading stuff, so I ran out of questions to find. So one of the funny things was like, would you rather questions. This is actually not a would you rather, but if you had to lose a body part, which part would you give up and why?
Body part.
Like it could be like your thumb or
Be
like
a thumb. Well, how would I give thumbs up, Woo?
I don't know.
Exactly.
Could be a toe because it's not noticeable.
I would definitely notice. What if that affected my ball game, Woo?
See, this is the questions that I searched were meant to like start a conversation.
Start a conversation. Are we on a date, Woo? I didn't even know. I'm gonna pick something relatively obscure. I think a body part. Let's go with a nipple. I think that's in and of itself is a great conversation starter. Hey, I only have one nipple. What do you mean you only have one nipple? I don't really use them for anything. They're just there for decoration. I think that would be great. And then I could have like a tattoo there. I've got a fake nipple. It's a tattoo of a nipple. Oh, done.
That's a pretty good answer.
I would lose my nipple, Woo.
I thought.
You thought I was going to give up the thumb?
I thought you'd be stumped with this one, but you actually had a pretty good answer.
Oh, thanks, Woo.
And a pretty good reasoning. You could just get a tattoo. Huh. All right. Next question.
What are we on? 4?
Yes.
So, I'm going to ask you a question, Woo. What is your obsession with Steve Francis? What about him did you enjoy?
Okay. For those of you who don't know, I'm a big Steve Francis fan. Stevie franchise. And I would say, okay, out of all the guards, okay, when I was growing up, I was a small guy playing basketball. So I kind of looked up to smaller basketball players doing their thing on the court. So my first love was Allen Iverson.
Yeah.
So he was, the crossover king. I would try to learn the crossover. And then a few years later, I saw a guy come out of college by the name of Steve Francis. And this is when I just started watching basketball. Like I actually was really into it. Like I watched every draft.
Oh, wow.
The tapes that they had in the draft. So you know how they would say, like, with the second pick, so-and-so would pick Steve Francis. Vancouver Grizzlies would select Steve Francis.
Ugh.
And they would show highlights from his college, like his mixtape. And I just thought he was like an Allen Iverson. Like, confident, like, dunking like crazy, like a small guy dunking like crazy. I mean, he's not as small as Allen Iverson. He's 6'2", 6'3".
Yeah.
But he's a small guy. And if he has the craziest dunks, that's as a 6'2" guard, like a 6'3" guard, he has the craziest dunks. He carried a franchise for like years, 4 or 5 years. He carried like Houston Rockets for I mean, they weren't the best team. They weren't going to win a championship. But I would say
they were relevant.
I would say during that time he was on the Houston Rockets, though, they were relevant and they were an exciting team to watch.
Yeah.
And he just made it fun watching the game.
Yeah.
He was just fun to watch. That's pretty much.
That's the only reason.
Yes.
I mean, the game and you loved to watch it.
I liked him a lot more, of course, when he was on Houston. When he got traded to Orlando, I started kind of not liking him as much because at that point you were just like, his teams aren't winning. There's no point. But when he was on Houston, my love for him grew when he was on Houston.
Yeah.
Just watch some highlights. If you search Steve Francis highlights, all his Houston highlights, you might start liking him.
Yeah. All right. I got some homework.
All right. Last question. This one actually is basketball related. Your favorite basketball player of all time, not Vince Carter, though.
My favorite basketball player, not Vince Carter.
Doesn't have to be on the Raptors. Just
Honestly,
favorite basketball player and why.
Like, it's going to be, given the current state of the Raptors, a relatively touchy subject, but like DeMar DeRozan.
No.
Woo, I know how much your disdain for DeMar,
No.
but Woo, he's
Okay, forget about the loyalty. Like, just...
But that's what I appreciate.
No,
And as a
no,
fan,
no.
I'm allowed to have that point of view. Do
No, forget about...
you remember that tweet? Don't worry, I got us.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that you don't get that as a Toronto fan ever. People want out of Toronto.
But here's my thing with DeMar DeRozan. He wouldn't have been able to do what he wanted anywhere else. Like, he kind of had no choice but to stay. Like, this was his team. Like, he wasn't given the options as the other players the Raptors had. Like, Vince Carter, he was a wanted commodity.
Woo, he could have gone to LA.
Any team he goes to, it would have been his team. Who else was on the Raptors? Chris Bosh. I mean, I hated Chris
T-Mac,
Bosh. Yeah,
Chris
T-Mac,
Bosh,
yeah, those...
Stoudemire.
He's not on that level. So if he went to another team...
Woo, you sound
Okay.
very salty
Okay.
right now.
Okay, DeMar DeRozan, okay. We'll get to more on him in a little bit.
Oh, you're
I
gonna
guess.
hear lots about DeMar.
We have to talk a little bit about him. The dust has settled a little bit, but people are still talking about DeMar and Kawhi trade, so...
Oh yeah, that'll be a storyline of the whole year. Especially considering, I thought for sure we would get a Christmas game this year. San Antonio versus Toronto.
Yeah, I actually just read about that. Like, how does Milwaukee get a Christmas game? Because they have
The Greek Freak.
Yeah, they have him, but like, how do they get a Christmas game?
Yo, and people were saying that Toronto didn't get a Christmas game because we got swept out of the playoffs, but Portland got swept out as a third seed in the first round. They got a Christmas day.
That's not right. And we have Kawhi.
We have Kawhi, and there's gonna be like they could have made that the reunion game the first time Toronto and San Antonio played each other, and they could have made it on Christmas and made it a nationally televised game.
That I agree with. They should have gotten a Christmas game.
Yeah, that's the dream move. One year, we'll have a special Christmas podcast.
Yeah, it might be next year. Who knows? I think next year. We'll see. Once Toronto takes every team out of the East.
Yeah. All right. So for my final question, Woo, you've touched on it. You've got two young children. And in my observation of growing up with you and seeing you grow as a person, this podcast thing kind of caught me off guard. I don't think high school Woo would have been able to commit and wanting to commit to something that's so public and is such a shared capacity. Did becoming a parent kind of change you in that capacity? Is that something, a contributing factor, or is this just something coming from within?
No. Definitely having kids has changed everything about me.
Yeah.
And if you've kept up with me, you know from my very first video that I released on Facebook, which was the most nerve-wracking thing I've ever done. I wasn't happy with where I was in my life. Like, coming out of university, I was kind of like, I'm going to get a job, I'm going to save money, I'm going to be, big time in the finance world. And
Yep.
I thought I was smart enough. I thought I loved that field. But as I kept working, I just realized that it just wasn't me. It wasn't something I wanted to do for the rest of my life. I was like dying inside.
Yeah.
So I kept with it. I made a few videos about this. Like, I quit my job and da-da-da-da-da. But the main turning point was having kids and wanting to provide them more and show them more. Like life is more than going to school and then getting a job and working for a company and getting married. Like, you can do what you want to do if you have the courage to do it. And honestly, I was nervous. I was like, you know what? I really wanted to do YouTube for a long time.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things like, I want to do it. You wait, and then all of a sudden you realize a year has gone by, 2 years has gone by, and you never actually do anything with, stuff you just say, like, I want to try this, I want to try that. And YouTube was one of them.
Yeah.
So I think having TJ, my first son, really made me realize, if I want to do something for him, I have to break out of my shell. I have to show him that his father has the courage to work for him. And just definitely having kids has changed everything about me, has made me want to become more confident and open up more.
Yeah.
And I'm going to keep going. It's honestly been fun. Like,
Yeah.
After my first video that I released, like I was so nervous, but then seriously, if you do something enough times, it gets easier.
Yeah.
Second video is easier. Third video is easier. And I'll let you in on something. My first video that I ever made, it was 4 minutes long. That thing took me 4 hours to make because I kept pressing record, deleting what I just recorded because I didn't like how I looked on camera.
Yeah.
Second video was like a little bit longer, but it took me 3 hours to record. Third video took me 2 hours to record. Each video after that, less and less. So use me as proof. Like, if you do something enough times, it gets easier and you get better. I think I'm getting better, and
You're absolutely getting better. Way more comfortable on camera now.
so yeah, I'm gonna keep this going. This is the new and improved Woo that you're gonna see,
Yeah.
and I'm glad I have a partner to go forward with in this podcasting thing.
Yeah, Woo.
Honestly, I didn't actually think you would say yes to like the commitment is pretty hard to do a podcast, like to meet regularly, especially since you and me, we didn't see each other for a few years, and then we kind of reconnected.
Yep.
So that kind of made me worry. I know I worry a lot about weird things, but I'm glad.
Once you stop worrying and start doing,
yeah,
magical things happen.
So those are the 5 questions. Let's get into some Raptor talk.
Yeah.
Yes. Any questions? Any first questions that you want to talk about with the Raptors?
Nick Nurse, Woo, are you excited? Are you apprehensive? Are you worried? Tell me what your thoughts are about our new head coach.
I don't actually know that much about Nick Nurse.
I don't think anyone does,
I don't
Woo.
think anyone does, yeah. But he seems like a good guy. That's from the interviews that I've watched.
Yep.
Like, I think he's a type of coach that's willing to try new things. And that's all you can ask for in a coach, I guess, like, is to experiment and give players a chance. And that's definitely, I think, the type of coach he is. He's going to want to develop the players who need to be developed. He's not going to be... I honestly don't think he's going to be the type of coach that just wants to win. There's types of coaches who just are so focused on winning that they're not going to play the younger players.
Yep.
And the only person that comes to mind is Byron Scott when he was coaching the Lakers.
Yeah.
You remember when he was coaching them? Like,
Yeah.
he wouldn't give playing time to, like, D'Angelo Russell because he was, like, screwing up on court. And at the end of games, he would be playing, like, the oldest players on the team.
Yeah.
I think Nick Nurse is going to be the opposite of that. And from what we've seen and what we've heard, he made the offense last year, and Toronto's offense was amazing. Mm-hmm. And if they're going to use that as their base going forward, I think it's a good choice. And I think the future is bright. At first, I wasn't so excited about it because they weren't making any change, like any real changes
to bump up.
Like, they were just using an assistant that was under Dwayne Casey. But so far from the summer league, his interviews, I think he's changed my perspective.
Yeah. Well, you sent me a text here, and for our listeners, you're going to be hearing this quite possibly more often. A little segment we like to call "You Heard It Here First."
Yeah, you heard it here first.
And Woo sent me a text that said, "You heard it here first." Although I guess technically it was second because you gleaned this information from a Sportsnet article. Raptors making 3-point juggernaut with Coach Nurse. Obviously, the 3-point shot is super trendy in the NBA.
Yep.
Statistically and metrically, it is way more efficient in terms of scoring. And if you're going to use math, you might as well listen to it. So, I like that. I like that we are going... Like, even last year, I thought the amount of threes we were shooting was crazy. But we have so many better 3-point shooters this year that it would be ridiculous for us to regress. Yeah. And we should only push forward in it. Kawhi Leonard, Danny Green, a huge underrated part of that pickup. Like,
I know.
He's super legit, and I'm excited to have him on the team.
Danny Green is a legitimate 3-point threat. I am actually super... Good thing you bring that up. Now that we have Danny Green, we still have CJ Miles.
Yeah.
Fred VanVleet is a good shooter.
Jonas Valanciunas can drop threes.
Yeah, maybe.
He did. There's proof in the pudding.
The corner 3, okay. I will give him the corner 3. OG's getting better.
if OG is super consistent at 3 this year, okay, Cody's, you heard it here first. Pascal Siakam he'll be up for most improved player in the entire NBA. I think he's going to kill it from 3-point. I think he's going to shoot 38% plus from 3-point this year, and he's going to be a huge driving factor for the Toronto Raptors.
Okay, so the first, you heard it here first, from Cody Goodale, is Pascal Siakam is going to be the most improved player in the NBA.
Hands down.
That will be the first. You heard it here first. Mind you, at the end of our season, I guess, end of the Raptor season, we're going to compile all our You Heard It Here First, and we're going to see who was more right, I guess, on our calls.
Who you should listen to in the following season.
So, Cody's first. You heard it here first. Pascal Siakam, most improved player in the NBA.
I'm writing that down, Woo.
We have to write it down.
Yeah?
It's going to be written down because we got to keep track of it. And my first, you heard it here first, was the Raptors will become
the Warriors of the East.
The Warriors of the East.
Switch.
I believe
Space and pace.
The Raptors' brand of basketball will be that kind of annoying style of basketball when a team catches up to you, the Raptors just annihilate you with threes and just...
Yeah, you grind away to bring yourself back into the game, and then we drop 3 threes in 30 seconds, and all of a sudden it's a 10-point lead again.
Which it annoyed me so much when the Golden State Warriors did that.
It was humiliating.
But I think the Raptors will be that team in the East.
Yeah, and I'm excited.
So you heard it here first from Woo. Woo is saying that the Toronto Raptors are the Warriors of the East in the 2018-2019 season.
It's going to be a good time, Woo.
It will be. There's actually another topic I did want to talk about.
Yeah?
Yeah. Still, it's the DeMar DeRozan and Kawhi trade.
Absolutely.
I still want to talk about this because there's still... Rudy Gay came out with a statement pretty recently, and I can't believe, people are still talking about this because it's affecting Raptors fans still, I guess. And I want to just talk about it. And Rudy Gay said, he was more talking about franchises and how the Spurs would not do what the Toronto Raptors did in terms of, trading a player without letting him know.
Snaking the player, as you would.
And saying that would never happen with an organization like the Spurs. They're first class, they respect their players. And it's funny, I was watching another podcast today. I forget which one it was. It was like an ESPN, and it was a Sportsnet. And one of the guys I was talking saying Rudy Gay, no one really cares what he's saying. No one really cares what he's talking about.
It's not that relevant.
Yeah, it's not that relevant. Why is he even saying anything?
Him and DeMar are really good friends.
Yeah.
I think DeMar is the godfather to Rudy's children.
Yeah?
I think so.
That? Yeah. I know they're close. I didn't know they were that close.
Yeah.
But here's my problem with that. And I don't know if you might agree with me, you might not. But how can teams comfortably let their star player know that they're shopping him around? We saw that with Cleveland. They didn't let Kyrie Irving know that they were shopping him around. He kind of just heard it through the grapevine. Yeah, through the grapevine. And that pissed him off. Yep. That pissed him off so much that he demanded a trade. He didn't want to be on a team that didn't want him long term. Yep. Who would even mention his name in any trade talk. And I know DeMar is saying he just wanted a heads up. He just wanted to hear it from management if they are shopping him around, if they are going to trade him. I can't see any scenario where it would be good where they tell him, hey, DeMar, you're a great player. We want to keep you, but we are just throwing your name out there in some trades. Hope you're okay with that. I think the second DeMar DeRozan hears something like that, he's going to want to leave anyway.
Yeah.
He's going to feel disrespected from that point. Either way, he's going to feel disrespected.
Hashtag prove him.
Obviously, one way is going to be he's going to feel more disrespected. But I think the outcome would have been the same.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he would have wanted,
how he reacted?
2018, 2019, he wouldn't have been on the Raptors because he would have either demanded a trade or they would have gotten a trade, no team wants to keep a player that's not happy.
Yep.
So I don't see any scenario where a team should let their player know that they're being traded.
Absolutely.
So I just wanted to get your take on that.
Well, I think it's important to remember that this is DeMar's first breakup. He was drafted by us, and he's been with us over a decade.
There's so much emotion. I just wish they know it's a business. They know it's...
And that's the thing. We were supposed to be beyond the business, and he was loyal, and he stayed with us and took a pay cut. But I feel like the emotions are getting the best of him, and like I have an extreme trust in our general manager, president of basketball operations, Masai. I feel like if he thinks he did it in a respectable way, then I think that's the way it was done, and that DeMar's, I guess, rose-colored glasses, the way he was looking at the franchise, is clouding his perception of how things went down.
Yeah, because no one's ever going to know how that conversation went.
Nobody will know.
Because DeMar is saying that he was directly told, like, no, we're not going to trade you, whereas I can kind of believe Masai's point where he said, you know, this is what we expect from you next season, which would make the other person believe that they want you there next year.
Yep.
So if you were talking to me and be like, woo, for next year's podcast, I want you to study this.
Yep.
You know, I expect you to be better at doing this. So I would expect we're going to continue this podcast next year, not you thinking about partnering up with someone else.
Yeah, getting a new podcast
and getting rid
partner.
of me. Yeah. So in that sense, which is I think what Masai was saying when he said there's some miscommunication there, that's miscommunication, but that's not telling the person, we're not going to trade you.
Yeah.
But again, we'll never know exactly what was said.
But we can't be focusing on the past, Woo. We got to look to the future. We've got Kawhi Leonard.
It just bothers me, you know. It's just because, yes, we have Kawhi, but, you know, I just wish these players weren't so damn emotional. And I know we shouldn't be counting their wallet, like how much money they're making, and
they're still humans.
We have no right to be saying, oh, they got paid this much. But, like, you know, I don't know. That's a little too hard.
Multi-generational wealth.
It's kind of harsh for my... Yeah, no, I shouldn't say that. In my view, he didn't perform for what we needed him to do. There was no way, if you're a true Raptor fan, there was no way we were going to continue with DeMar DeRozan.
There was a window.
Yeah, there's absolutely no way. I understand the people being angry, and being sad that he's not there, or thinking that Toronto made a dumb move, but if you're a fan, you got to love this move that they got Kawhi Leonard.
Oh yeah.
So I think he's going to stay. I mean, I should have used my, you heard it here first, but I think for his type of personality, I think Toronto is perfect for Kawhi.
I really hope corporate Canada steps up and he gets some major money from somebody in Canada. I hope they see the value in having such a generational talent on the team.
Kawhi?
Yeah.
Because, one of the reasons he wanted LA was the marketing, right? Like the exposure.
He saw Lonzo Ball get more money for his sneaker deal than he did. He was the 2-time Defensive Player of the Year and then Finals MVP. Like, come on.
But can we believe that, though? Like, we've never heard any of this from Kawhi's mouth. It's always been reports have said this, or reports.
That's true, but in this day and age, that's what we got, and we always have to have the hot take, the new take. That's what we're going on. I think we should just stick to the basketball, and he still has to earn a contract for next year, or the season following. Like, it's not like Kawhi can't play. If he fluffs off this year, he's not going to get his max deal. Like, he has to come out and prove he's still the player he was.
That's true.
So he'll come out.
It's been a while since he's played as well.
Yeah. So he has to come out and perform and do the best that he can do in Toronto, which in turn is doing the best for the country. And I think it's a super exciting time to be a Raptor fan. We have such versatility, such depth of talent, a great system, a great culture. We've got Drake. We got it all.
Do you think he's going to stay?
Kawhi?
Yes.
It's way too early to say. I think I would love for him to stay. If I had to take a guess right now, I'm going to go with no. I don't think he'll stay. But I haven't even seen an interview. I haven't seen him play. I haven't seen anything. And the eye test is very important to me, and I would like to see him somewhere before I go out and make an assertion.
Yeah. I still just think he's gonna stay because all the reports that I've read and all the YouTube videos I've watched on ESPN, he's not that type of player that likes the spotlight.
Yeah.
And with LeBron being in LA, that's a lot of spotlight on the Lakers. And
not to mention just the Lakers, period.
Yeah, like his situation was perfect in San Antonio. Now, if they're saying he wants to go to Lakers with his type of personality, I don't think that works.
Yeah.
And if he wants to go to LA, he can go to the Clippers, but who wants to go to the Clippers?
Who's on the Clippers anymore?
They just
Thank you.
Yeah. Patrick Beverly?
I mean, he'd be fun to play with.
Who else is there, actually? Nobody.
Yeah, it's just one player, Woo.
Is Doc Rivers still there?
I don't know.
I think he's still there.
We sound like terrible
I know.
NBA fans right now.
I know, we're not great analysts.
Lou Williams, he re-upped.
Oh.
Former Toronto Raptor. Lou.
Yeah, but I didn't like him that much.
He was a part of
of
the rise.
He was. He was clutch. He was clutch at at the end of a lot of the games, but
in quarters.
Ridiculous. Yeah. But he had the same shot all the time, like to the left, shooting three, which was so predictable. But thank you, Lou, by the way.
Yeah, I appreciate your time here.
Appreciate your time, but
just to drop back a second for the Raptors and Kawhi Leonard, there is a point made by Toronto Raptors beatnik writer Doug Smith talking about how the Raptors, Alex McKinney, the head of sports science at Toronto Raptors, is one of the big reasons that Kawhi might end up staying here. If he did have feelings about playing while injured in San Antonio, apparently, I mean, it's hard for me to give my opinion. This is just me regurgitating what I've heard, is that Alex McKinney is like a world-class leader in the field of sports rehabilitation. And if you look at how OG came back under his tutelage, you would think that that's kind of some of the extras that the Toronto Raptors bring as an organization that gives us a competitive advantage.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, Alex McKinney. Maybe we can get him on the podcast.
Yeah,
too.
that'd be super interesting to talk to a guy like him.
Yeah,
especially with like, I don't know, I used to study kinesiology. Mm-hmm. I used to really love that field of studying the body. But yeah, one of the goals maybe we can even get instead of player, we can get like personnel.
Yeah,
personnel. That would be okay. One of my goals. My answer. I'm going to change my answer to one of the questions Cody asked me. Is I'd either get a young player. It would be cool to interview a young player, or some of the Raptors personnel, like the assistant coaches maybe, or like the trainers.
Yep.
And really kind of get in there and see, any interesting conversations we can.
Yeah, like just different points of view on the players. I was actually reading Steven Adams of the Oklahoma Thunder. Recently wrote a book, and he had an excerpt about Jonas Valanciunas.
I read that today. That was funny.
It caught me off guard. I didn't think Jonas was such like a trash talker.
No, I didn't. I knew he's intense. Like
absolutely.
He gets under a lot of people's skin, I think, when he's on the court, especially with his emotion.
Yeah, so I think it would be interesting to get kind of those insider point of views about a person's personality from a different point of view.
Did you hear what Steve Adams said to him? Like, I wouldn't know what to say back to that either.
You'll have to remind me.
So he was like, JV was talking so much trash that I think Steven Adams just signed a new extension with OKC, so he just got paid.
Yeah.
And he was saying like he had this new confidence, I guess, with this new contract. So he was like, calm down. Like you eat your food you eat your steak with a knife and fork. I use my hands. So he's like, I use my bare hands. And then apparently JV just heard that and didn't know what to say back. And then throughout the rest of the game, JV was like toned down.
Man, this guy eats with his hands?
Yeah, like I wouldn't know what to say to that. Like, calm down. Like, you use a knife and fork when you eat your steak. I use my bare hands.
I'm going to use that next time I get in a verbal altercation.
Yeah, I'll be like, He's gonna eat me? Like
with his hands?
Yeah, like
Damn.
I don't know. And Steven Adams, he's saying a lot of. It'd be cool to read his book. I've read there's a lot of articles these days about his book and like former players that he's played with, like Reggie Jackson. And we're getting off topic here, but I'm gonna read his book.
Yeah.
We'll talk about maybe in another podcast. But seems like he's a super funny guy.
Oh yeah,
Steven Adams.
He's a hardcore video game player.
Seems like a super nice guy. Every interview he does, but
I love the disparity between how aggressive and dominating he looks, and then like the super jovial Kiwi accent that comes out of his mouth when he talks. Yeah. I really enjoy it. I think it'd be fun to hang out with.
All right, new test. Then one of us will read his book.
Yeah,
and I think it'll be a fun read.
Absolutely.
So those are all the pressing topics I wanted to talk about with the Raptors so far. It's kind of the off season, so there's not too much going on, but
there's always something to look forward to.
Exactly.
All right, Woo. Well, thanks for having me.
Well, I didn't have you. We're in this together.
Yeah,
so
Woo. Thanks for suggesting and getting the ball rolling on this.
Yeah.
I'm excited for what we have in front of us.
Me as well. And I would like to add, to kind of give you guys a little bit more of a background into how we committed to something like this. And this, I guess, is an inspirational thing for whoever's listening and how to get started on something. And I never really believed in this before, but it's about setting goals and having the right people around you to make sure you stick with your goals. And one of the things is you have to be accountable. And one of the things that actually Cody suggested when I suggested that we do a podcast is one of the things I wanted to do is I wanted to meet on a weekly basis. I wanted to meet every Monday to just spend time with each other and chit-chat and build some chemistry again. And I didn't, when you start something like this, it's easy to, flake on the other person. It's easy to say, you get going for maybe 2 weeks, you're going good, you're meeting the person once a week, and then 1 week you're too tired, and you kind of make an excuse saying, Woo, I'm too tired to go out tonight, let's reschedule for next week. One of the things that we did to avoid that was we wrote each other a check for $450?
$450.
We wrote each other a check for $450 because that was the amount that we kind of settled on that would make us uncomfortable for the month if we lost that amount of money. And we wrote each other that check, and we were allowed to cash that check if the other person flaked.
Yeah, an accountability pact.
Yeah, so that's one thing that kind of caught me off guard when he suggested that. That kind of was something that let me know that he was serious about doing this with me. And he's honestly one of the guys that I'm getting a little emotional here, but he's honestly one of the guys that I think is the positive person in my life that I want to keep around. And he's keeping me accountable for this podcast, and I'm doing the same for him. So if you have any goals out there that you're looking to have, or goals out there that you're looking to make, find someone that will help keep you accountable.
I like that, Woo.
That's all I'd have to say. That's the reason this podcast exists. That's the reason we're going to keep going at this and talking about our love of basketball and the love of Toronto Raptors, and not just basketball, some personal stuff and funny stuff that we might just want to talk about. Not basketball related at all, but that's how this podcast started, and I just want to say thanks, Cody.
Thanks, Woo.
All right,
and for all our listeners, we still got to figure out a name, like the Woo Cody podcast. Woo and Co, I think, was one that we both kind of chuckled at.
I liked Woo and Co, but it seems too much like,
It's all about Woo?
Yeah, it's all about Woo. I don't want it to be all about me, especially if we have new people joining later on in the future, because that's one of my goals, is to maybe get our crew.
Yeah, some more friends in.
Yeah, but that might be a little difficult, so maybe just keeping a...
I don't know, I think BSKB.
General name, yeah. One of our names was, the BSKB podcast.
Yeah. Clean and simple.
All right, everyone. Well, thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed our very first podcast, and we'll see you guys next week.
We'll see you next week. Thank you very much.
All right.
Bye.